this is the time. If they want to reopening up, if you want to the economy to rebound, trade exhibition is the biggest engine, most effective engine that the country or region have to recognize and have to support.
Welcome to the latest in our series of the EW sessions. And this time I'm really delighted to welcome the newly appointed president of UFI and managing director of the Hong Kong Convention and Exhibition Centre, an old friend, Monica Lee-Müller. Monica, welcome. It's lovely to see you. And congratulations once again on your appointment as the new president of UFI. Let's kick off with UFI and your role as UFI president for the next 12 months. And at the end of the UFI Congress in Rotterdam, you talked about what some of your priorities are for the year. So let's maybe recap that a little bit and talk about what your priorities are and what you're hoping for from your year as UFI president.
Hi, Paul. It's lovely to see you. I hope I see you face to face other than seeing you on the flat screen. You know, you look better, you know, in real person, really.
Don't we all?
Oh, dear. Well, I becoming the UFI incoming president last year, and I really had no idea, never could imagine that a year later, we're still in this COVID era. I really have never imagined that I was not able to attend the UFI Congress in Rotterdam, which is very sad, very, very sad. And I, you know, Hong Kong has been very conservative, and we're still under very stringent measure in terms of international travel. And so there was also a reason why I wasn't able to go to Rotterdam, because of the long period of quarantine that I have to be subject to. Obviously, we have done a lot of advocacy because of the COVID, because of the travel issues in different parts of the world. Obviously, some part are better than the other, and in Asia, we're still trapped. So the advocacy for opening up the international traveling and allowing opening up for international trade fair will continue. That you know, without saying. I also have mentioned in my speech in the Congress that the diversity, you know, that UFI have built on, that I've been very, very pleased and impressed. And of course, we also have Mary being the outgoing president. She have worked a lot on it. There are a lot of successful women in our industry. And also at UFI, we see a lot of female leaders. But right or wrong, we have 20% of female members in our board member in UFI. It is good, but is it good enough? I think I'll continue to work on it and in the coming year to encourage more of our female colleagues to participate in the executive level, and also trying to work on, you know, the senior position in the organization. But we also like to tell our male colleagues in the industry to also give a chance to our female colleagues and more coaching and encouragement. You know, having this diversity is not only a women's matters, it is also for men as well. We would like to, you know, have all the talented and committed people, men or women, to contribute to the industry and to understand each other's strength. That's also important, more communications and yeah.
Yeah, no, I think, well, you're right, Monica, we have come a very long way in a relatively short time. Even when 5-6 years ago, when I was running UFI,
yes,
you didn't really run out of the fingers of one hand counting the number of women that we'd been able to get onto the board at that stage. So if we're up to close to a quarter now, that's a huge improvement, but obviously, as you say, still some way to go. What particular I mean, what additional steps do you think an association like UFI can take to encourage more representative participation in its sort of senior bodies? Because as you say, for a long time, we've had an awful lot of women at quite senior levels, but perhaps not until more recently at the most senior level in the industry. But I mean, what other things do you think UFI could be doing in that area?
I guess more encouragement and more training. In the recent year, we have a female leader working group, right? Or task force, whatever you call it. But also their field seminar has been held online in the recent time to actually for women to share their challenges, their concerns, and sometimes their grievances at times. No, but also good for people to exchange, to share what's the obstacle and how to overcome that. And a lot of time is also the glass thing that we build for ourselves. In some of the country or organization, there's traditionally there men who take up this more senior position, and you would just accept it quietly, that to let it be. So I guess we also have to give more encouragement for them to try to break that glass ceiling. I have attended one or two of this webinar and talk about my own journey. We're fortunate in Hong Kong. We actually have a lot of opportunity. But having said that, I'm also the first female managing director and first Hong Kong female managing director in my organization. And the last three managing director are all Caucasian men. I'm not saying that it's wrong. They're all very capable. But I would have never thought that I would take up this position if it's not having this encouragement with my mentor, Cliff Wallace, and my board member, for instance, and to have the recognition and encouragement, and also some guidance from them, that I would have that confidence in myself to continue to work on it. So I like to share that with other colleagues in the industry, men and women. Also, I see a lot of men are very capable as well. As I always stressed, my view is not to give the position to women because it's politically correct. We should offer it to the person who's capable for the position, men or women, But I truly believe that if you have take up the bias and stereotyping, there are a lot of women could rise up.
Right at the beginning there, Monica, you talked about the very strange times that we have been living through over the last year and a half or so with the impact of the pandemic on our industry around the world. It seems to me that this is a time when associations, at least some associations, have really sort of come into their own. And we've really seen associations playing a particularly important role. I mean, what have you seen on the inside? You've been a member of the executive committee at UFI and then the trio of the incoming, outgoing and current presidents. So you've been really close to what UFI's been doing. And what's your sense of what the role of associations perhaps in general, and particularly what UFI's been doing?
Yeah, as I said, this is the time that we need association most. And as in the exhibition industry, I think UFI have played a very important role during the last 2 years as the industry struggle. In a good time, we gather, we exchange, we learn from each other. And the learning is very important now. We remember earlier in the pandemic, we actually don't know what to do. And also the government's response to the pandemic is very different. So gathering the information, having UFI as a common platform to share that information and situation in different parts of the world is very, very useful for our colleague running events internationally. And also to learn of the best practice is important. I think the biggest role that UFI have played in the last 2 years is the advocacy. that together with collaboration with other organizations, with ICA, with AIPC, with CISO, we have done a lot of lobbying in different countries and regions, to the government, and to tell them the importance of resuming international exhibition and opening up different markets. And that work will continue.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think possibly if there's any silver lining in all of these challenges and unpleasantness that we've had to deal with, it's been a very sort of rapid moving up the learning curve of associations on how to engage with governments and try and better get our message out. Because I've been consistently hearing from all around the world at a national level, people very frustrated and saying the governments don't understand what we do.
I mean, this is the time really, a lot of time we focus on our own business, but this is the time the industry really have to come together to be one voice, and also together with even ICA and other event association together, because we're all in it together. We're all depending on our international travelers, and we have to have that, opening up. We have to have that voice together to let our different government understand what international events mean to the economy.
Absolutely.
And to not only the economy, but to the workforce and to promoting trade and all that we have done silently in all these years, and not being recognized. And this is the time. If they want to reopening up, if you want to the economy to rebound, trade exhibition is the biggest engine, most effective engine that the country or region have to recognize and have to support.
Absolutely. And a message that we have all perhaps known ourselves instinctively for a long time, but perhaps haven't done as good a job as we might until more recently of communicating. Monica, when you talk about associations working together as one, there are, as you well know, because you've been involved in many of them, there's quite a sort of alphabet soup of industry associations representing the different parts of the business events world. I mean, you mentioned there some collaboration between UFI and some of the other associations. Do you think we are as well coordinated as we should be between the different industry associations in getting our messages out?
I think we have done a pretty good job, and as ever, we can always do more. We have worked with many different organizations, with CISO, with AEO, with ICA, which is quite unprecedented. We're always friendly, but to actually work on the task together is quite remarkable. Talk about this collaboration. I think the biggest industry collaboration that we have joined together is actually the Net Zero Carbon Events Pledge.
Yeah.
I think that is the biggest ever collaboration that we have in the sector of international events. And the fact that we get a stage at the COP26 in Glasgow early this month, speak for itself. It's really a great story of collaboration and leadership.
Absolutely. And my understanding is that the sort of the level of support coming from the industry for that net zero initiative is quite high at the moment. You hear a lot of companies signing up for that.
We have about 100 company members sign up the pledge, and I hope more to come. And because it's important, it is the biggest enemy that the world is facing, not only our industry, but the world is facing at the moment. I said that earlier. This is actually the biggest threat that we have, even more than the COVID itself.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, turning back perhaps to that more immediate that more immediate challenge, and away from UFI now to your own sort of home ground in Hong Kong. You mentioned at the beginning of our discussion the challenges that you've had in leaving Hong Kong because of the sort of the very strict policies in place there. So how have you managed with the venue that you're running, with a lot of the events that you'd normally expect to be taking place, not able to take place over the last year and a half or so? There's obviously been some quite particular challenges for you in Hong Kong and the venue that you're running there.
You're familiar with Hong Kong, or you're also familiar with the Hong Kong Convention and Exhibition Center. And you know how full is our schedule normally.
Yeah.
And particularly this time of the year in November, October, we are chock-a-block. We'll convert car park into exhibition space, you know, all the corridor are filled with exhibits. And in the last 2 years, it's not the same. You know, walking into this wonderful building and feeling the emptiness is the most difficult reality that I have to face in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. Being the managing director of this building, I have to continue. I'm confident that we will overcome eventually. I mean, it is taking far too long, but we have to overcome. Other than being frustrated and angry about what we're facing, we actually have, again, come together using the association, the power of the association, the Hong Kong Exhibition and Convention Industry Association, M.I.C.E. We went to the government. We lobbied pretty hard with our electrical members, our politicians, and also our government to let them know the situation we're in, and also the exhibition industry is in. Not only the venue, but the organizer, the contractors, and other stakeholders are really in deep waters. So we have engaged them regularly, and with the association, we have an audience, and we actually managed to work with the government to launch in the very early stage subsidies for the convention and exhibition industry, for the government to subsidize 100% rental of exhibition that being held in the two major venues, being the Hong Kong Convention and Exhibition Center and also the Asia World Expo. As the COVID prolonged, we actually went back to the government and asked them to extend the subsidies. It has been extended twice, actually 3 times. Now it's valid until the end of next year, end of 2022. We also have requested or suggested to the government to give a one-off relief, monetary relief, because no matter how hard we work, and even with the rental subsidies, we are not able to host international trade fair because the border is still closed. Mm-hmm. So with nearly 2 years without international events, the organizers really suffer in big trouble. So we managed to convince the government to give out a one-off monetary relief for those organizers who have been running events in the last few years. And that was very timely, and it's pretty useful to help those companies afloat during this difficult time. Absolutely. So as a venue operator and also executive member of the association, this is what we need to do. Not only focus on your own business, we have to look in the bigger scope of our industry, because any sector in our, whether it's the venue or the organizer or the contractor, in trouble, you know, our industry will be in trouble. And when business return, when we are back to normal time, we need everybody to come back to work together. So I think this is the time also to put away our own ego problem, but to work together. Again, collaboration at large.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and then also with our own organization, again, with no business coming through the door or less or reduced business coming through the door, we also have to manage, you know, our bottom line. So a lot of cost saving that need to be done, and staff morale. And so we continue the communication with our staff, letting them know what, you know, the management is doing to maximize revenues and control costs to keep the company going. So again, we also have to look after our staff who've been working long time with us. And when time returns, and we also need them to work with us to welcome the international business. So communication is the key during this challenging time and in crisis. You don't want people to be confused or be depressed or given up in our industry. So continue injecting positive energy is also important.
Yeah. Let's look at that. Let's talk about that as a way perhaps of wrapping this up. Monica, let's look forward to sort of that happy day, hopefully not too far away, where we can effectively say that this pandemic is behind us, has become part of normal life, whatever it is, and we're sort of back to business as normal. What do you say to people who say, well, what is the future of business events in Hong Kong? You have some of these huge, amazing venues all around you now. You know, the competitive environment has changed dramatically. You know, is there still a strong future for Hong Kong for exhibitions and conventions and business events? So sort of looking to that happy day in the future where the doors are back open and the planes are flying again normally. What's your view of your sort of vision for Hong Kong continuing the success that it's shown over the last sort of 30 or 40 years in becoming one of the world's leading centers for business events?
Now, first of all, COVID is nasty, and COVID have caused a lot of unprecedented challenges and have made a lot of changes to how we operate the center and how we manage our life and how we travel. But what it hasn't changed is the advantage of Hong Kong. Hong Kong continue being safe. Hong Kong is remaining, I mean, we're talking about post-COVID, you know, the free flow of people, free flow of information and free flow of currency will not change. You know, the service standard, the infrastructure, the great transportation, you know, our efficient banking and well-established legal system, that hasn't changed. Our beautiful venue hasn't changed, you know. So all these advantages of being a great destination for international trade fair hasn't changed. And according to the 14th five-year plan issued by Beijing, Hong Kong remain the international trade hub for Asia. I mean, they will continue to acknowledge that and support that. So we will have this double economy engines behind us, you know, the Belt and Road and the Greater Bay Area, you know, that being our playground, you know, our source of exhibitors and visitors to our trade show. So I am very confident. I'm very, very confident for Hong Kong future and for our industry. And I think in the last 2 years, what we also have witnessed is how people want to meet and want to do business face to face. And I just been talking to one of the great organizers before Christmas. He's flying away for holiday, and before he went, he was just telling me he was just looking forward to come back after holiday, and that looking forward for Hong Kong to reopen, because all the fair that his company has done overseas, every face-to-face physical event was a success. So that tell you that exhibition and face-to-face event would not die, and never underestimate the power of the face-to-face.
I think, Monica, that is a perfect note on which to leave our discussion today. We certainly should not underestimate the power of face-to-face, nor the prospects for Hong Kong bouncing back and hopefully surprising us and delighting us yet again. I certainly can't wait to be back to see you in your venue and your venue buzzing and full of people again. So thank you so much for spending time with us today. Good luck with your year as UFI President, and we'll look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Paul. I'm looking forward to welcome you and all our international visitors back.